Hey everyone, it's Stranger Grayson here. Welcome back to another horror movie review. Today we have another review on a film in the Leprechaun franchise, and we're getting pretty close to the end. And today is going to be on this sort of remake slash reboot of the Leprechaun franchise. And I was hoping this would be better than Back to the Hood, or maybe like be okay, since Leprechaun 4 in Space killed the franchise until Hood, and then after Back to the Hood came out, no other Leprechaun movies were made until 2014 when this movie came out. And I was hoping it would try to redeem the franchise, but man, I was so let down with this movie. And that movie is Leprechaun Origins. Now, this is the 7th film in the Leprechaun franchise. Came with the 7-film collection pack on Blu-ray. This is the cover art. And let's just say this is one of the most generic monster horror movie films I've ever seen. Seems low budget to me. Anyway, Leprechaun Origins. What is it about? Leprechaun Origins basically resets everything. There's no more Warwick Davis. He does not appear in this movie. They get a new guy to play the Leprechaun, and the Leprechaun is one of the worst. It is not a Leprechaun in this movie. Let's set that straight. There's no way this thing's a Leprechaun. Anyway, movie opens up with a couple. They're getting chased off by this little creature. They're trying to run away from it. They get killed, of course, before they can make it out of the town or past this little rock area. They're getting hunted down by this thing with this sort of gold heat vision, whatever it is. It's kind of hard to explain, but they get killed, and then we cut to a while later. We get a group of 4 friends, a group of 2 couples, Ben and Sophie, and then Jody and David, or Josie and David. And they're spending the weekend in Ireland, or the week in Ireland. They're on the last weekend. But they just want to visit some more residential areas and just try to explore. And an Irishman drops them off near this rock crevice that was there at the beginning, where this little stone is. And they get walked into town, and they are introduced to a couple of the Irishmen in there. Hamish, Sean, and then you also have Mary. They're being treated down at this little pub, and Hamish invites them to stay at a cabin until the very next day so they can get their stuff and go. Of course, they agree, and they get to the cabin. Some weird things happen. Then, as Hamish and Sean are leaving, Sean is Hamish's son. As they're leaving, Hamish sets out a little gold watch by the front door, and they drive off. So when the 4 main characters go to sleep, one of them gets awoken by a noise outside, and she checks the window. Then something zoomed past the window. They go check it out. Then the creature attacks them, and for the next hour and a half, or not hour and a half, for the next 45, 50 minutes of the movie, it's running, hiding. And this is where the movie started going downhill for me. Leprechaun Origins was definitely one of those bland horror movies, and you can tell that no thought or reason was put into this movie. You do get some actors that you might recognize. There's David, the actor that plays David. He is in Freddy vs. Jason, along with Supernatural. In one episode of Supernatural, he played that psychic kid that killed his family in that one episode. So he's recognizable. Then the guy who plays Hamish is also recognizable. He's been in Freddy vs. Jason as well. He's also been in a couple other horror movies. Other than that, I haven't really seen much from the other actors. The Leprechaun itself, honestly, that is one of my biggest negative for this movie. I just don't like the way it looks. You hardly get to see it at all. Mainly you see what it's seeing, through its vision. which is a big red flag, especially when you're trying to make the villain scary, you know. It just drew so much attention. And this is not a leprechaun, guys. It doesn't talk. You know, it doesn't do anything a leprechaun does except like the gold part. Other than that, it's just weird. It's not even a leprechaun. It's just like this weird monster that has gold ray vision or whatever, and it just kills people. And these townsfolk are like making sacrifices to it because they dug it up one day and they found their gold, and now they gotta, you know, pay their debt until it's paid, which that means they're sacrificing all these outsiders to save their own skin. And I have another gripe with this movie. When you're trying to make your main cast like fun and enjoyable, don't make them dicks. Don't. Because then you're gonna have all your other, you know, scenes where you want them to die. And that's exactly what happens. Like, or at least that's what happened for me, because every time somebody would trip and fall, especially with David, because his leg gets injured in one scene, trips and falls, his girlfriend and his best friend, Ben, turn and look, see that he's fallen and needs help, and they just take off running and leave him. What? And then there's another scene where Ben and Sophie are running away from the leprechaun. Sophie trips and falls, but Ben just keeps on running, just screw his girlfriend. Like, I just don't understand that. Like, you're turning these people into douchebags when you had so much potential for at least two of them, you know, and it just irritates the crap out of me, the way that they chose to present this movie. Honestly, I feel like this was just a generic horror movie at first, but then to cash grab all the audience, they slapped the Leprechaun name on it and call it a Leprechaun movie, say it's a remake, and then boom, you got money. Obviously, that didn't happen because this franchise went dead for another 4 years before they finally returned for it for the last movie in this franchise so far. It's probably never going to get another film again. But anyway, yeah, the ending to this movie was just a complete... It was very anticlimactic, if I gotta be honest. I mean, the gore in this movie's okay. You don't get to see it much because you're basically seeing all these kills happen in the leprechaun vision. And it's stupid. There's one kill where this dude gets like his insides ripped out. And there's one kill where somebody mistakenly kills another character when they're trying to kill the leprechaun. I'm not going to tell you who, and I'm not going to tell you which one died. All I'm saying is that it's pretty horrifying, but I'm not going to spoil what, like, exactly who dies, who, where. You're just going to have to find that out for yourself. The only characters I really liked was, Sophie. Everybody else sucked. I don't... Jody, Josie, and Ben were just not interesting. They're douchebags, first of all. Second of all, I just didn't really enjoy them all that much. David was all right. I mean, Brendan, the guy that plays David in this movie, he's definitely had better roles. I feel like he just did this for the money or just had nothing better to do in his career. But Sophie was really the only character I enjoyed. Other than that, these characters were just like bland, and I was hoping all of them would die. But yeah, the kills are just kind of bland. I mean, there is some gore, but other than that, all the kills you're really seeing is just from the leprechaun vision, and that's kind of a huge letdown, especially if you're trying to target the audience with, you know, all these neat practical effects. And there's definitely some practical effects in there, but it's completely ruined by just the leprechaun vision. And there's even moments in this movie where it goes to like GoPro shots, which you can definitely tell that's a cheap budget if they're having to resort to GoPro shots just to make the movie seem more action-y, you know. I just did not enjoy the GoPro aspect of that. It's not used much, but the few scenes that it is in, I just don't enjoy it. It just kind of ruins the taste of the film for me. Anyway, yeah, I do not recommend this movie. This was not a pleasant watch. I got bored very early on, and it was a pain to get through. So that has been my review on Leprechaun Origins. Really not a great film. Definitely skip this. Horrible remake. If I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give about a 5, 5.5. I've seen worse, but yeah, this is probably my least favorite so far from what I've seen. But yeah. Anyways, that has been my review on Leprechaun Origins. What did everyone think about this movie? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Would really love to hear your thoughts. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next movie review. God bless and have a good night. Bye, everyone.